We all fail. It's not the circumstances that dictate our lives. It's what we do about them. It's the emotions we have. It's the thoughts we have. Are we going to have fearful thoughts, or can we convert those fearful thoughts into courageous thoughts? Life is absolutely not a destination. The reason I get the ability to come here each month and share something new, share something inspirational, but tactical. Things like today, we're gonna talk about things that you can immediately implement into your life. But also, I want to give you the motivation, the inspiration, the enthusiasm to go out there and take action. But I want to tell you, life doesn't just happen. It's not like going to the gym once and you're in great shape. I hope you know, and I hope you realize that when I share this stuff, it doesn't mean that I have it all dialed in. You know, so many times in life, or I do it perfect every single time, so many times in life, when you watch somebody teach, when you watch someone who's got a book, or they're on stage, or they're on TV, you look and you go, oh my God, they have it all figured out. God, and you look at yourself and go, I can't even get my weight down, or I can't even get that business started. I didn't even register the URL, or I didn't get my first deal done, or I haven't got my business cards yet. Man, I can't do what they do. Here's what I'll tell you. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never know what other people go through. We all have crap. We all have stuff that goes on in our life. We all fail. It's not the circumstances that dictate our lives. It's what we do about them. It's the emotions we have. It's the thoughts we have. Are we going to have fearful thoughts, or can we convert those fearful thoughts into courageous thoughts? You know, there's certain things in my life still that make me fearful. I got rid of most everything, but there's certain things when I think about them, they make me fearful. And when you're fearful, do you thrive? When you're fearful, do you take action? When you're fearful, do you move forward? No, you stand still and you're almost paralyzed. And how many years do you want to be paralyzed, right? I'm using fear. It could be anything. It could be negative thoughts. It could be sadness, or feeling alone, or feeling you're doing it on your, all these different things. I get it. So before we start today, I want you to think about some of the emotions you have on a regular basis. And then think about the emotions that actually have propelled you through all the successes that you've had in your life. And you'll see that some of those negative emotions, that I'm afraid, I'm fearful, I don't know if it'll work, does it work for me, I'm not smart enough, I don't live in the right area, I don't have the money, I'm not good at marketing, I'm not good at technology, all those thoughts that can just paralyze you and cripple you, compared to when you feel courageous, compared to when you feel confident, compared to when you feel on fire, or in flow, or invincible, or masculine, or feminine. Like, compare those two and just realize, if we can spend more time living in those emotions that propel us, the circumstances don't matter. If you look in life, we've all had the shit, and we all will experience the crap, the things that go wrong, the unexpected turmoil, the loss of a job, business going under, relationship, all the things that hit all of us. Circumstances don't dictate our lives. The emotions we have and the actions we take do. And I say that out of absolute experience, and being someone who obsesses on growing and maturing and going to that next level every single day, month, year of my life. So today, I'm going to talk about something that at first you might not understand, especially if you don't have kids or grandchildren. You might think, oh man, I'm in here and I'm going to talk about this. But I want to ask you to have faith in me. If you've been watching me for years, it's very rarely, if ever, I've ever let you down. And this is going to give you a big surprise at the end. When I go through this, again, I'll go through it in a way, and if you don't have kids, or if your kids are older, you might think, I don't know if I need this. You need this. And I promise you, with all of me, the end will show you why. I'm going to share with you what I believe are the 10 most important things I've learned about being a great dad. Doesn't matter if you're a parent, doesn't matter if you're never going to have kids, grandchildren, whatever. When at the end, when I show you why this is important to your success, your abundance, your income, your life, you'll be glad that we did this today. And this is why I'm excited to share it with you. Okay, you ready? Number 1, it's all about them and how you make them feel. Now, here's what I know. It is easy as a parent, if you're a parent, you know this. Again, take out parent if you're not a parent. I don't want anybody to get like, oh, I need you here. I need you focused. Don't look at the phone. Don't do social media. Be here with me. It's all about them and how you make them feel. You know, as a parent, I realize that when my son is going through something or my daughter is going through something, what I want to say is, oh my God, Brody, when I was your age, I had the same exact thing happen to me. It was hard to focus in class. I didn't know what to do. And I would go into a story and I would lose Brody and Brianna, that's my kids' names. I would lose them just like that when I talked about me, when I gave examples. Because what was I doing? I was living in my world. I was giving my experience. They don't have the past I have. They don't have the experiences I have. They don't have the trials, the failures, the wisdom, the knowledge, the information. They don't. And when I make it about me, or the circumstance, I lose them. But when I make it about them, when they know that they're being understood, that I hear them, that I'm not being distracted, when I'm focused and I understand how they feel, everything changes. You know, when I look back at the most important moments of being a parent, I could have missed a lot of them. And I probably did, because I was focused on what had happened, what was the circumstance, rather than trying to understand how they felt. And I want you to think about that. This is going to mean a lot more here in just a little bit. So let's go to the next one. 2, enter their world and finish sentences in their heads. You see, we tend to, let me back up with my kids. My daughter is in 5th grade, my son is in 3rd. So I know my daughter gets to school and she has science, and then she goes to another class with her friend Ava, who she loves Ava dearly, but sometimes they bicker and they argue. And then when she goes to her next class, she's with her friend, I just said that. Ellie, I'm sorry, Ellie. She's with her friend Ellie, and Ellie is her most fun friend. Ellie is the one that makes her laugh so hard, and I know what Ellie does, and I know how she makes her laugh. And then I know the whole day my daughter goes through. Why am I using that as an example? Because I'm entering her world. When I sit and talk to her, and I talk about Ellie, when I talk about her friends, when I talk about Ava, when I talk about Mackenzie, I know what's going on. I also know that my daughter used to like little Shopkins, and I know she used to like playing with little ponies and horses, and she's evolved. She's 10. She's getting to be a bigger girl now. So when I talk to her, if I talk about that stuff, I'm immediately disconnected from her. Immediately. I can watch her go blank. If you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking. If you're like 3 months off from what's going on in their heads at this time in history, you have no emotional connection. Same with my son. He'll be obsessed with baseball until football starts on TV. If I want to go play baseball, he's like, but if I go throw the ball, I know the difference. I know that he liked Legos, then he was out of Legos, he went to NASCAR, now he's back into Legos. I know he likes video games, even though he only gets a half hour a day. I know which one he likes, even though I hate that he's on there. I'll still sit with him and I'll know the characters and I'll know how he plays. Why? Because I want to enter their heads. I want to enter their world. I want to finish sentences they have. When I do, I'm congruent. When I do, I feel connected. And when I'm connected, I get to know when they're struggling. I get to know when a friend hurts them. I get to know, hopefully someday, when someone offers them cigarettes or booze or drugs or even worse things, if I feel connected and I evolve with them, I'll be there every step of the way. If that makes sense. All right, let's go to the next one here. Talk to the point and say what you mean. I love the quote, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. I want you to think about that. The world has changed. It just has. Whether you think it's good or bad, I have to always believe that we're evolving for the better. Because you get a choice. You can believe that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, that our kids aren't going to be safe, our grandchildren are screwed. Does that feel good? How does it feel when you say that? Me even saying it out loud makes you like, But if we say, hey, technology is going to bring people together, we're going to accomplish more, we're going to solve more problems, and I believe in humanity. I believe that we will evolve and do the right thing. We will get more conscious, we'll get more loving, more relationship with God or your soul, or be more spiritual. I have to believe that. And when I don't believe that, I have to tell you, I feel bad. When I do believe that, I feel good. But think about how people not just our kids. I don't care if you're a 75-year-old grandma and you're watching me right now. You go through Facebook, whether it's on your phone or your laptop, and what are you doing? You're scrolling. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like that. Oh, look at that one. That's a cool picture. And you read it in 2 seconds and you're done. If you click on a video in today's world, hey, if you click on a video and it takes like 8 seconds to download, what do? Oh, I'm not waiting for this thing. I mean, it was only a few years ago. Remember AOL dial-up, right? And now, if you wanted to watch a video 15 years ago, 12 years ago, you'd like go to download it and then walk outside and do something else so you can come back in and watch it. Now, if it's 5 seconds or 8 seconds, you're off the page. So what does that all have to do with my kids? But soon you'll see it in a much bigger arena, is talk to the point and say what you mean. Attention spans have just changed. They have. You can't, I watch sometimes, I want to give my kids a lesson. No, I want to give them 5 lessons at once. I mean, that's just, I want to download everything I've learned, everything I teach you, I want to give to them so they're just bulletproof. And if I get to the second lesson, they're both like this. And I realized that I was making a big, long ordeal out of this, and I was trying to make this long lesson when really I have to think through, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter, and I need to just get to the point and say it and let it stick. And if you start going a little further and you start seeing it's like fading, then stop. Give them something, but know that each word, each sentence, everything you share can make an impact. If you go by the motto of, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. If I have your concentration for 15 seconds, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, a minute, I'm going to make sure I'm precise and to the point. Okay, be authentic and enthusiastic. Okay, kids smell. Remember, it doesn't matter if you have kids. This is valuable for everybody. Be authentic and enthusiastic. Okay, so here's what I know. My kids have like the sniff test. Like if I'm pretending to be authentic, let me give you an example. I come home and my kids want to show me something they did at school. And it's like, Dad, look what I did. If I go, oh, Bud, that's really good. And I have my phone in my hand and I go, hey, Bud, that is really awesome. Hold on, let me look at this. My son will literally at this point close it up and go, all right, and just walk away. Like even if I thought I was sneaking, even if I'm looking and I just glance at my phone because it beeped, I'm not being authentic. He feels I'm not present. I'm not in the moment. Or if I come home and if I carry my past, if I carry what's going on in the world with me in any way possible, and my enthusiasm that doesn't have to be where mine is and through the roof, but if you're like disinterested, if your enthusiasm is low, if you had all this energy all day for everybody else and not enough when you get home, children, grandchildren, in the future you'll see for whatever, non-authenticity is so easy to feel. And I'd rather be authentic. I've told my kids, listen, I was reading a great book called Love and Logic Parenting. If you're a parent, read it. Also read How to Talk to Your Kids So They Listen, How to Listen to Your Kids So They Talk. 2 best books, I believe, on parenting that exist. Love and Logic Parenting and How to Talk to Your Kids So They Listen. So when I read those books, I'm so authentic with my kids. I'm like, oh my God, guys. After I read this part, I realized I've been screwing up big time. And this is how I talk to my kids. I've been screwing up big time on how I handle if you don't get your chores done. I've been getting upset. I've been getting personally emotional. Sometimes I even get loud. That's not the way it should be. Here's the thing. I do a lot for you guys. This had a good point in the book. I'd love to ask you a couple times to do it, just twice. If you don't get it done or it's not on your list and you don't check it off, I'm not gonna get mad, but no, there's consequences. And this book really showed me that, and consequences sting. And you have lots of privileges that you think is just your birthright, and it's actually privileges. So some of those privileges will go away and some of the consequences will hurt. Maybe it's baseball, maybe it's no iPad for a month, whatever it is. And immediately it changed. I was just transparent of what I was reading. And when I was authentic about that, they got it, even at their young age. And when I say it with authenticity and enthusiasm. Okay, there we go. Next. Tell fun stories with empowering messages wrapped in. So I'm going to tell you a story that I really want you to see. So storytelling is an art, and it is a gift. And it is something that most everybody watching is good at it without even realizing it. Did you ever, go to a movie and then tell the story about the movie? Did you ever go to a restaurant, tell the story about the restaurant? Did you ever have an experience? Oh my God, I went camping and this bear came, or I was stuck in traffic and then this thing, and this car accident came and the car flipped over. Storytelling. So here's what I realized. Telling stories gets my kids engaged. So I want to tell you something. We talked about before about enter their minds on how they feel, enter conversations in their heads, talk to the point, say what you mean, be authentic. So wrap all those into storytelling. So a few years ago, my son goes to school. He's the same as me. I was the smallest kid in my class. So was my son. And I remember what it was like to get picked on. I remember what it was like to get, you remember, if you're older, there was a cartoon called Rocky and Bullwinkle. And Rocky had this really high-pitched voice. And kids used to call me Rocky because my voice still hasn't changed. I know I have a high-pitched voice now. You should have heard me when I was young, my son's age. I sounded like Mickey Mouse. So I got picked on. I knew what that was like. So my son comes home. He's the smallest kid in class, and he started a new school. So no friends yet. You know what that feels like if you ever move schools. So he comes home, and he tells me about it. And here's what I wanted to say. Oh, dude, I went through the same thing. I was the smallest kid. Here's pictures of me in the same grade. Look how short I was. I got called Rocky, and look at Dad. I overcame, I persevered, I make more money than everybody in that class. I do this, I do that. I'm a great dad. That's what I really wanted to say. Or that's what seemed to come natural. But that would have been about me. He would have not associated that. So I want to tell you this. So out of the blue, I ad-lib. I said, tell them fun stories with empowering messages wrapped in, right? That's number 5. I make up this story on the whim about Tooth, T-O-O-F, right? I don't know, not tooth, but Tooth, the one-toothed werewolf. And I started improvising this story. I said, did you ever hear a story about Tooth? He's like, what are you talking about? My daughter comes over, I'm like, Tooth, the one-toothed werewolf. I said his mom was human, his dad was werewolf, and this poor kid's got one fang, and he's got patches of hair, he's got one long hair over here, and short over here, the kid's like half werewolf, half human. And so it intrigued them, and I just go on this whim. I'm like, he goes to school, he gets made fun of, and everybody picks on him because he looks so bad, and he feels kind of lonely, but then one day, the kid who picked on him the most. I'm telling you the story like you're my kids right now. I said, but the one day, Brody and Bree, I said the kid that picked on him the most, he saw get out of the car with his dad, and he realized that kid's dad was really rough on him and picked on him and yelled at him and pushed him. And Toof immediately realized that's why he picks on me and got empathy. I don't know why I can get emotional in this story because I think of my son. And Toof said, you know what? The heck with it. And he walks up to the kid and he gives him a hug. And the bully pushes him off. And Brody's like, he hugged him? That's weird. I'm like, yeah. He pushes him off. And he goes, what are you doing? He's like, hey, I know you pick on me, but I just saw what happened to you. You could still pick on me, but I'm sorry your dad treats you that way. And walked away. And then all of a sudden, the bully chased him and he grabbed him and turned Toof around. They became friends. And then all of a sudden, he became popular with everybody. And he realized it didn't matter how he looked. Toof had a big heart and he was destined for greatness. And it doesn't matter if he had patches of hair and one fang. When he just became authentic with himself, when he did it, he realized, and then all of a sudden, Tooth, they realized he could jump really high, and he joined the basketball team, and he was a star of the basketball team, and it didn't matter how big he was, and I go through this story, and I keep going, and then as soon as I'm done, my kid's like, oh my God, what happened to Tooth next? Did he go to next grade? And I made up all these stories. I remember telling stories about Tooth forever. I just kept going, and I ran out of stuff to talk about, but they were intrigued, and what it was a message wrapped into the story. So my son it doesn't matter how tall you are, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, what matters is in your heart. You're a lion in there. You're a monster in there. You're a fighter in there. Who cares if you're this tall or this tall? But if I would have just told him that or used my experience, it would have went right over his head. He got it. He felt it. And he felt the emotions. So think about that one. Reward good behavior unexpectedly. So here's something I realized with my son that I had done. My son is very busy, always got something going on. And he's a little stinker sometimes, and he does all these little things and, sits back and he'll eat and drop food on himself still at 8 years old. And I'll say, bud, just lean over your plate. And then he'll kick his sister under the table to start trouble. He's just the greatest kid. And I realized a lot of times I was telling him what he did wrong. Hey, bud, sit up. Hey, bud, don't kick your sister. Hey, bud, when you're done with your scooter, please put it away. Hey, bud, hey, bud, hey, bud, hey, bud. And I forgot about all the amazing things he does. He aces school like it's nothing. School to him, I mean, he's got a Bible verse because he goes to a Christian school. He's got a Bible verse he's got to remember by the end of October. He's got the whole thing memorized now. He plays baseball. He plays first base. He was with kids all bigger than him last year, has the best batting average on the team, and the team went all the way to the finals. They played in the championship game in Arizona, and they lost the last game. Amazing team, all the kids good. My son batted first with the best batting average. And so many other things. He has empathy. I can't pass a homeless person anywhere. Driving down the road, I have to make a U-turn. I have to go to a cash machine if I don't have money, and I have to give money to a homeless person every time. Not sometimes, every time. And what I realized, I spent too much time picking on him and telling him what he did wrong, and I was zapping his confidence. I was. As a dad, I can admit it. Didn't realize it. My daughter is just a different personality. I never have to say anything to her. That's just who she is. So what I realized is that if you reward good behavior unexpectedly, you create a connection on a whole nother level. And this, again, I'm talking about my kids right now, and we'll talk about how this applies to every single person. But think about rewarding good behavior unexpectedly. It's easy to point out what people do wrong. That's easy. How about pointing out and rewarding what people or your children do right? That's a whole nother level. They know when you care and when you fake it. I said this before about being authentic. It kind of goes along those same lines. Set time aside. I'm going to give you a little secret. Do you know what? Did you ever hear the term active listening? Active listening. Active listening is when there is no phone going on. So let's say you have a grandchild. You can apply this to anybody in your life. And you want to do 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day of active listening. You want to bond with someone? You want to bond to a whole nother level of life? Spend 10 or 20 minutes a day with active listening. And what that means is don't look at your phone once. Don't look at the clock once. Don't ask any questions. Zero judgment. Zero rules. Zero lessons. Just for that 10 or 20 minutes that you're going to be an active listener. And when they share something with you, I'm talking about my children at this moment. My son shares something with me and says, I joined flag football, Dad, and I'm going to play with Scott. Repeat the question. Say, dude, you joined flag football and you're going to play with your best friend Scott you got on his team? And zip. That's active listening. If he says, yeah, and I'm gonna punch the quarterback in the face, I'm just making it up. Don't say, oh, dude, that's not sportsmanship. Let me just tell you how to, no, you ruined it. Just for that time. It doesn't mean not be a dad or a disciplinary. At that time, you're active listening. You want to talk about watching kids who are innocent, who aren't as smart as us, don't have the time and wisdom we have, instantly know the difference of when you fake it and when it's real. I've faked it a lot, and I watch my kids. They're kind of connected compared to being completely connected. And guys, I'm going to get to a bunch of questions at the end. We're almost through. We're doing 10 of these. Number 8, if we can pull up the screen real quick. Number 8, when problems arise, instead of blame, find the root cause. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I'm going to give you an example here. I'm going to give you 2 examples. My daughter loves going to school. This is last season, maybe 2 seasons ago. And she's getting ready in the morning, and she's just saying, Dad, I don't want to go to school. I'm not in the mood. She's being a little grumpy. I'm not used to it. And she's like, Dad, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, Bree, you're going to school. Come on. Get ready, babe. It's going to be a great day. Spin that frown around. Change your state. You're in a bad state. Let's change your state. Tony Robbins, right? Let's change your state. Say yes. No, I don't do that with my kids. But I'm trying to change her state, trying to make her smile. I'm holding her cheeks up. Like, you get to decide. You can go to school being grumpy. It's like, Dad, I don't want to go to school. I just don't. And I'm like, what's up? I just don't like school. I don't want to go. Now, I want to tell you what my first reaction was. is to say, I'm just gonna be blunt. This is like intuitive. This is like maybe the way I was raised. Get your ass in the shower, get dressed, brush your teeth, eat, you're going to school. That's what I wanted to say. Now, could that work? And is that a parenting style? I'm not gonna judge. That might work just perfect. But here's what I know, is through years of trying to be a better human being, through obsessively paying for education, through masterminds, through reading an obsessive amount of books, I stopped myself for a moment. And I said, Bree, what's really up? I said, do you have a problem at school? No, I'm fine. I said, okay. I started digging in. I started naming things. Having trouble in math. Sometimes math is hard for her. No, it's not math. And I started naming friends. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? And I got to Olivia. And I watched her face change. It's one of her friends, or was at the time. And I said, what's up with Olivia? And she said, at lunch, she was really mean to me. It's the first time she didn't want me to sit at her table. I felt really odd, out of place. And my daughter, I have to be honest, she's one of the popular girls. And not stupid popular. She doesn't, I hope she doesn't get involved in the drama. We talk about it all the time. She does separate herself from that. But she's popular. She's got a lot of friends. And this hit her. And then I got to the root cause. I'm like, I'm about to yell at her to get dressed. It has nothing to do with getting ready. It has nothing to do with school. She felt bad. We've all been there. I got to the root cause of it. I'm like, oh my God, you idiot. You almost blew this moment. And I said to her, hey, how do we spin this? And I'm trying to get her engaged. I'm like, okay, who in class, who at lunch sits by themselves all the time? She's like, I remember the girl's name. It was Daniela. She said, Daniela's kind of new, kind of sits alone. I'm like, okay, how about we do this? If that ever happens again, that poor girl feels the way you feel today. She feels that way every day. So how about anytime that happens, or just in general, when you feel that way, you go sit with Daniela and lighten her day up. Because you lighten her day up, you're going to brighten your day. I kid you not, like within 24 or 48 hours, Daniela was over our house for a play date. And it just spun it because when the problem came up, I dug into where it came from. What was the root cause rather than just going surface level? Okay, number 9, be the person you want them to be. They feel incongruency. Okay, it's like being at the dinner table, talking about cheating on your taxes, and then yell at your kids for cheating on a test in school. If you want them to eat healthy, you eat healthy. You want them to exercise, you exercise. You want them to read more books, you read more books. You want them to go to bed earlier, start winding down earlier. Kids become who you are, they don't do what you do. If you don't want your kids to drink a lot of alcohol, don't get drunk in front of them. I'm not being rude, I have cocktails, I love a glass of wine. But I'm just saying, what we don't realize is we say one thing and then we do something completely different. And we're all guilty of it. But be the person you want them to be. They feel incongruency. And then the last one, number 10. You can hold this up. Number 10. Be the observer of your own thoughts and how they affect them. I'm gonna tell another story about my daughter, even though I have just as many with my son, but this is the one that comes to mind. So, I really want you to think through this, being the observer of your thoughts. This is observing your thoughts, knowing what they are, knowing what emotions they cause, knowing how sometimes your thoughts take control of you. They put you in a stressful mood. They put you in a happy mood. They put you in a fearful mood. They put you in all these moods you don't realize. We let our thoughts become us. Our thoughts are things. They're not who we are. And when we can separate that, and I'm not perfect at it, but I work on it every day, when I realize there's a line between who I am as a human being and my values and the thoughts that are going on in my head. Can your thoughts lie to you? Absolutely. They lie to us all the time. How many times are you obsessively worried about something that never happened? Most of the time. We think about what could go wrong. We project a new future, a new image and we're stressed about this won't work, the business might not happen, I won't have the money, the relationship will end, all these thoughts, and we drive ourselves crazy. The stress goes up, the anxiety goes up, and it doesn't happen, or it goes in a different direction. When we can become the observer of our thoughts, we go to a whole nother level. I was on a podcast last week, one of the biggest podcasts. I've been doing these podcasts lately, and I love it. Someone asked me, if you had the number one thing you could teach anybody young right now or old starting over in business, what would be the number one thing? I mean, there's a million things. Like, I've failed a lot on this journey and succeeded a lot, obviously. And I said, it just came out. I said, be the observer of your thoughts. If you think what's usually standing between where you are and where you want to go is the story, the thought between. I'm not smart enough, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have the skills, I don't have the money. It's just the thoughts that wrap in our head. We take a past experience and make it our present, which the past is gone. That's just research and development. Or we project a new future that's haven't even happened yet, and that's a thought we have. Both of them paralyze you, make you stressed, worry, anxious, and we stand still. And we don't even know where to go. So being the observer of your thoughts. But let me tell you how it relates to my kids, and to my daughter particularly. So we're at the breakfast table, and my son's got this crazy memory, right? So, and my daughter has got the same, my daughter's got the same brain I do. She is more like, she's gonna be like the visionary inventor, and my son would be more like the CEO or COO, Chief Operating Officer. He systems, processes, memorizes everything. She comes up with ideas that blow my mind, right? And that's, both of them are needed. Walt Disney had his brother. Henry Ford had a right-hand man. Everybody, every big business has the visionary and the implementer, right? So I have one of each. So we're sitting at the kitchen table, we're having breakfast, and my son's got these crayons, this box of like 50 crayons, and they're like these really elaborate crayons, and they're cool names like French Vanilla Swirl and Hibiscus, flower, something, like big long names. So my son starts pulling them out, and I go, dude, this one looks good, what is this? And he names it. And he names the next one. And we pulled out like every crayon. He memorized all their names. And we were like, oh my God, that's amazing. So he got some praise. So my daughter goes, I could do that. Let me just go study them. I'm like, hey, Bree, we all have different unique abilities. That's not mine. I couldn't remember 2 of them. She's like, no, I can do it. So she goes and she comes in. She misses the second one. And she gets sad about it because I think Brody got all the praise. And anyway, and she says to me, that's because you spend more time with Brody in the mornings than you do me. And man, I immediately replied, and it was my thoughts, and it's probably the way I raised. I said, Bree, don't you lie to me or lie to yourself to put you in a bad mood. And she was crying. And that, again, I remember these because it's very rare for my daughter to have the last experience and this one. They were about a year apart. And I said, tuck it in, and I dismissed what she was thinking, and I just shut it down, and I thought I did the right thing. She got dressed. First time she ever left without kissing me. She went to school. I'm like, hey, you know what? She's got to step it up. And then she left. And I sat there because I'm trying to get myself in this habit of observing my thoughts. And I said, what just happened? And I observed what I was thinking and what I said, and I realized I just told my daughter to ignore her feelings, that her feelings didn't mean anything. I don't care if it was right or wrong. She shouldn't have gotten upset. It's not true. I do spend equal time, but that's what she felt at the moment. And I told her to basically shut up, tuck it down, and get your ass to school. Now, if I think forward, if she was married to a man and she came home from work, or he came home and she had something to say, and she goes to tell him whether it's right or wrong, if that's the way she felt, if a man said, why don't you shut up, tuck it down, and finish making my meal, I'd go over and kick his ass for treating my daughter that way. And I treated Brianna that way, and it hit me. And I got this flood of emotions that I don't want her to think that she can't let her expression the way she feels. If that wasn't true, but it didn't matter. And I only caught that because I observed these thoughts. I literally jumped in my car. I drove 100 miles an hour to the school. I got to the school, I literally jumped the little fence. You're supposed to go through the principal's office, give a little tag. I jumped the fence, I walked to her classroom, knocked on the door. I said, Bree, can I get Bree? I took her outside, I got on one knee, and I said, Bree, it doesn't matter what the truth is. At breakfast, I dismissed your feelings. I dismissed I told you to stop crying. I said, Daddy was completely wrong. I said, your feelings mean something to me, and I'm sorry you felt that way. If that's how you feel, then let's work on it together. And I gave her a couple compliments, and I said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry. We both smiled. She hugged me. I hugged her. We hugged so tight, and I left like dancing. I got in my car, cranked up the music. She went back to class and felt good. Again, I'm telling you that story. It's personal. It's what I did with my daughter. I'm not a perfect dad. I screw up stuff all the time. But that was only because I was obsessing on being the observer of my thoughts. Can money make you a better person? Now, that's one that we can argue. Now, first I said money solves problems. You guys might be able to stomach that, but now you're saying, Dean, all right, money doesn't make you a better person. No, but it can. You know, I always say when people have money or drink alcohol, it's like a magnifying glass. You get a bigger version of who they are. Like, I'm just being honest. If someone's obnoxious and broke or obnoxious when they're sober, you give them alcohol or money, they're super obnoxious in some cases. You have someone who's a jerk without money or a jerk when they're sober, you give them some money or you give them some alcohol. Sometimes it's the magnifying glass. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? But that's, in my opinion, that's a rare case. Can money make you a better version of yourself? Okay, so let me ask you this. How much do you think about money? Like all the things I talk about, if money could cut a check for a problem, you guys put a lot of things down. What if you could cut a check for all of those things and they went away and you didn't feel choked by money anymore? What if, let's just imagine here for a moment, what if, okay, I want to envision, as a note, envision your future. Okay, what if you woke up tomorrow and the credit card was done, the bill was done, the mortgage was paid off, there's money away for your kids' college, you're a retiree and there was enough money there, mortgage problems, life problems, retiring your parents, making sure your kids were okay, all the things that we mentioned. I don't want to go through again. What if they were gone tomorrow morning? Can you feel that? Take a deep breath as if that was gone tomorrow. Now, again, I'm not pitching anything here. I'm telling you, mindset starts the evolution of making more. This is not about me telling you how to get rich tomorrow morning, but you can't get wealthy or generate more money in life until you get this crap out of your head. I hope that makes sense to you. But what if they were gone tomorrow? What if you got to a place where you never worried about money again? It was never a thought. You never woke up thinking about it. You never talked to your husband, your wife, your kids, your children, your friends, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. You never even had a conversation about it. You just didn't think about it. Let me ask you, you're sitting in a room right now, wherever you are. You're sitting someplace watching me, whether live or watching the recording. You're watching me. When is the last time you thought about the oxygen in the room? When's the last time you went, wow, this air, really good. Glad to have it. Keeping me alive. My lungs are processing it. It's going through my bloodstream, feeding my brain. Glad my blood's oxygenized. No, you haven't thought about oxygen or air once since you've been watching me. Why? Because there's an abundance of it. You stop thinking about it. Give somebody a straw, a tiny little cocktail straw, and try to breathe through that. All you would think about is oxygen. Squeeze someone's throat. The only thing you would think about is oxygen. We think about money because it's not all around us. It's not abundant. We're breathing through a little cocktail straw, right? So I want you to imagine tomorrow morning you woke up. Really think about this. Do this with me. You're waking up. How would you breathe? How would you feel? What weight would be off your shoulders if money was no longer something you thought about? You cut checks for the problems in your life, and they're gone. And now you're left with you. You're left with you. How could you be a better version of yourself? Would you get therapy? Would you join a mastermind? Would you get a counselor? Would you get a coach? Would you get a nutritionist? Someone to help you with your diet? Would you get a personal trainer? Would you spend more time at church or go deeper on your spirituality? How often would you exercise? Would you get some courses on how to be better in your relationship and stop screwing up the things that we mess up all the time? Would you be a better parent? Would you coach one of your kids or your grandchildren? Or would you take your nephew or niece someplace? Would you do more surprises? Would you stop being on your phone all the time? Would you stop being distracted in life? Could you work on your ADD? Could you work on your overwhelm? Could you work on the anxiety that you have that you don't even tell anybody you have? Could you work on the stress that you have that could slowly be eating away at you and killing you? I'm not trying to do anything except give you a different mindset and a foundation to see that if you get money out of the way, there is a better version of you waiting. I want to tell you, in my life, I get to coach my daughter's softball team. I get to coach my son's flag football team. I get to coach my son's baseball team. I get to go watch my daughter when she has dance, either practice. I don't just go to games, I go to practices. I just do. How long are they going to be here? They're 8 and 10. I'm going to blink and they're going to be gone. I'm sucking up as much as I can. I couldn't do that if I worried about money. My health. I'm going to be 50 next year. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm not bragging, but I get to have a naturopath. I get to study nutrition. I get to go to the best doctors. I get to work out every single day. If I want a personal trainer, I got one just like that. I get to work on me. I read a book every 10 days. I go to counseling. I'm friends with some of the most incredible people, Tony Robbins, Dr. Daniel Amen, all these incredible people that I have in my life. I jump on a plane and go see them all the time because I want to gain their knowledge and their wisdom, and I want to share what I've learned. So many things that I'm sharing with you. I'm blessed to hang. I mean, in 4 days from now, right behind the camera is my where I do my masterminds. And I'm doing my Genius X group where people pay me $100,000 to come in. They come in 3 times a year. All the stuff that I learn at that group or I learn out in the world, I bring to you, I bring to them, right? I get to go do that. I'm a part of masterminds. I give Dan Sullivan $25,000 a year. I give Joe Polish $25,000 a year. I give other people, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on mastermind to gain the wisdom, because I'm not the guy that wants to go to college for 6 years. Just give me a weekend, give me all the stuff that works, and I'll go freaking do it. I know the rabbit and the tortoise, right? I want to be the rabbit and the tortoise combined. I want to go fast but steady and consistent. How do you do that? By being smart like you and gaining the unfair advantages from people who've done it before. The hardest way to learn in life is learning through your own trial and error. We know that's dumb, right? So I get to do those things. I get to work on, what about you? I get to work on finding what my purpose is, what charities I like, what makes me tick. You know, being in the second half of my life, like, I want to know what the hell I'm here for. I want to know my relationship with God on a deeper level, or my spirituality. I want to learn to meditate on a better level. I want to learn to have gratitude journals every day of my life and every night of my life. I want to do all these things. And when you get money out of the way, you're allowed to. How about helping others? Who do you want to help? Would you be a better version of yourself if you could cut checks or be a part or jump on a plane and go dig a well in Africa, or help lay the bricks of a school someplace, or help rebuild in Houston or in Florida? Does that make you a better version of yourself? And what about growth? Like I said, how much knowledge would you get? Who would you pay to coach you? Who would you pay to be a part of, right? Those are the types of things I want you to think about, is how could money make you a better version of you? Again, this is all foundational stuff. You know, if you're a part of any of my courses, my real estate course, how to make money online, or just getting the foundation of success, this is all the principles. But if you don't have this mindset, if you're carrying over a mindset from your parents or grandparents who, went through the Depression, if you're carrying on, negative beliefs and wrong beliefs about money, you'll just wonder, man, I was this close to making it so many times. Why am I still stuck in this job? Why did my friends get ahead? Why did he get ahead? She get ahead? Why did Dean's other students get ahead? A lot of times it's as simple as your relationship with money. So I want to do a little exercise here. And this one I'm going to make up on the fly, because I have some other things I want to talk about on how to make it. But I want to talk about some things for you. You know, if you're a part of my group, read my books, watched any of the previous trainings in here, I am huge on where it is do you want to go? What is your vision? So what I'd love for you to do right now is let's talk about money and get you feeling what it would be like to make more of it. And I'm not just let me share something here. This isn't about like The Secret. I'm not dogging The Secret. I think it inspired so many people. It's incredible. But I'm not just going to talk to you about, let's dream about what it feels like to make that money and it'll just come to us. It's not going to just come to you. I'm just telling you by experience. You can meditate on it. You can fantasize about it. You can think through it. You got to get those feelings and then use those feelings for gaining the knowledge and taking action. That's the best way I could describe it. But if you don't feel it first, you'll be afraid of the knowledge and afraid of the action, and you'll sit on the sidelines and another opportunity will go by. Does that make sense? Okay. I want you to do this. Right now, whether you have a piece of paper or not, I want you to at least think through it. Let's pretend it's a year from now. And we just killed 4 beliefs. If it's a year from now and you realize money isn't scarce, you realize that you making money doesn't take it away from someone else. You realize that money does solve problems. And you realize money can allow you to be a better version of yourself. If you can think through those glasses, take off the glasses of any negative feelings about money, any negative beliefs about money, or you're not rich enough, or you're not smart enough, or you don't have enough time, or you didn't go enough to college, or money, it takes money to make money. If you throw all that crap away, and you just put on these new glasses that we're talking about today and start thinking about it is 1 year from today and money is no longer an issue in your life. not going to even talk about how you're making it. That has nothing to do with it right now. I want you to just start thinking, if money was, it's a year from now, we're back here. We're still hammering away every month, we're doing these trainings, and money's no longer an issue. Piece of paper on your phone, or watch this again and do it if you're in a place where you can't write right now. What does your life look like if money is no longer an issue, something you think about? It's like the oxygen in this room. And I would just start writing down, what do you look like when you look in the mirror? Are you in the best shape of your life? What's your body look like? What's your confidence level like? What about when you walk in a room? What about when you're driving in your car? What do people see when they look at you? Do they think, oh my God, did you get thinner, taller? Did you get a tan? You working out? Did you get plastic surgery because you look younger? How's your confidence, your quiet confidence? How's your courage level? How's your relationship like? What does your husband look at you like? Or how does your wife look at you? How do your kids look at you? How do you feel internally? Do you feel like the man of the house that took care of, like the woman who can take care of herself or take care of the whole family if you want to? How do your friends look at you? How do you feel? Like what you feel, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. You wake up and you go, I'm not thinking about money anymore. What am I going to do today? Who are you helping? Who are you cutting checks for? What are you doing on a daily basis? How's the intimacy in your life? How's the passion? How healthy are you? Not just looking good in the mirror, but if your children or grandchildren want to run a race with you, can you go, Grandma, Grandpa, Mom, Dad, we'll do pretty good keeping up. I don't know what it is to you, but if you start fantasizing about it and you start setting a vision of where you want to go and not what you don't want, not what lack of money, not what trying to hold on to the last money you got, not standing on the sidelines, not being afraid, not thinking it's for other people. When you start realizing it's for you and you look through the lenses of what we're talking about today, what does that look like for you? And start writing those down right now. Just write them down or type them in your computer or do this exercise again. But it's a year from now and money's no longer an issue. Who are you? Allow yourself to feel that. I don't know what you're going through right now. I don't know if you're in tough pain, going through a divorce, going through a bankruptcy. You feel like you're too old. You feel like you're too young. You feel like you live in the wrong place. You feel like, Dean, this is great for everybody else, but you don't understand what I'm going through. I don't know if that's what you believe, but I've been lucky enough to watch people from every walk of life, from everywhere in the world, starting with different backgrounds, starting with the most hellish past, some that break my heart. I could cry thinking about it. And when they got it, they just got it and started attracting money, started attracting relationships. Their first deal happened or their new business started. And a lot of it is this foundational stuff we're talking about right here, right now, today. So what does it look like? Tell me right now, give me some comments if it's a year from now and money is no longer an issue in your life. Who are you? Tell me, who are you? What do you look like? What do you feel like? Name a word. Are you courageous? Are you confident? Are you exhilarant? Are you excited? Are you enthusiastic? If you're feeling alive, if you get a better connection with God, is your spirituality on another level? Are you meditating? Are you waking up? What are you doing? Share. Let everybody else see. That's the kind of feeling I want you guys to have. Because when you start with that, and then you gain the success components that are in my book, Millionaire Success Habits, and my trainings, and all the things we're sharing here, then when you plug whatever it is, real estate, your own business, online, stock, whatever business you plug on top of that, you have the opportunity for exponential growth. That's why people go, oh my God, how did she start that new business 6 months ago and she's killing it? I've been wanting to do my own business for years because of this. Remember, 80% of your success lies in here. In a shifting world, we have to go to where the puck is, right? That was Wayne Gretzky's quote when he was asked, he's the famous hockey player, came from Canada, played here in the United States, and they asked him, what's your number one secret or why are you so good in hockey? He said, a lot of people will skate to where the puck was. A lot of people will skate to where the puck is. He said, I figured out how to skate to where the puck was going. And the self-education industry, which is really the knowledge industry, sharing what you know, selling what you know, that's where the puck is going. And Tony loves talking about winter, right? When we have shifts in the world, it's wintertime. And I love when Tony says some people in winter freeze and other people ski and snowboard. When the world shifts, we need to have that foundation. We need to have that anchor. I hope this pandemic gets behind us. I hope people are healthy. I hope people are safe. But we don't know if it's going to last 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years. So we can't sit on our hands. We can't wait for someone else to come wave a magic wand and fix it, because nobody has. I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative, a Republican or a Democrat, or you're just fed up with it and don't care about any of that. Wherever you are, we know throughout history of time, nobody has come and fixed it for us. Nobody waves the magic wand and we get rich or famous, or we fulfill and live into our full potential. We got to do it. And isn't it liberating when you know that it's on us? Isn't it liberating when you know success or failure is on us, right? Listen, I know so many of you have had tough times. So many of you have been let down, carpet pulled out from underneath us. We can either use that as our anchor, or we can use it as our fuel to say, this is our time. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And I want you to think about this. Think about this. And I've shared this before. For those of you who are part of Own Your Future, you may have heard this, but I want to remind you today. When I say knowledge is the new currency, for those of you that really need to understand this, what does that mean? It means that people are realizing that the fastest way to the end result is to pay you for your experience so they can go where they want to go quicker. That's really what it is. So think about it this way. And this was Tanner on my team, gave me this story about 6 months ago, and he's like, you know, it's like a cell phone. Imagine if you had the opportunity to have an unlimited amount of new iPhone 15s, if there was 15s, in the warehouse that you could sell as many as you wanted, over and over again, but you didn't have to pay for them, and you didn't have to ship them, and you didn't have to keep them warm or cold or put them in trucks or put a stamp on them. That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Well, that's really what people have discovered, why this industry is going towards $1 billion a day is, and I wrote this down and I love sharing it, because right now your experience, the mess you went through, the skill that you've learned, the hobby that you love, the passion that you have, your experience is your inventory. Your knowledge is your asset, and our brain is our warehouse. And that's why Tony and I have fallen in love with this. It's why it's become a movement, because we're helping people unlock that. Listen, if you're already a coach or considering a coach, you're in the right spot. And this is what people are doing. They're sharing what they know, and that's why this industry is exponentially growing. Now, what can get in the way of you doing this? Thinking to yourself, I don't have a following. I'm an introvert. Who would listen to me? I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I've never done this before. I've dabbled before and it didn't work. I tried and no one bought from me. I don't know where you are. You could be one of our KBB or Project Next family members who are crushing it. I'm glad to have all of you here. But what I'm going to ask you to do right now is don't judge your past based on where we are now in history and what we can teach you to do at this very moment. What if I told you that every single influencer, everybody who's sold a course, we've all started with that place. But the world wants to learn from somebody who's been there now more than ever. And I'd hate for you to look back in 6 months or 6 years and say, I missed this. You know, I always talk about surfers, right? When you catch a wave, that wave will push you all the way to shore. But if you hesitate and you miss that wave, you could paddle as hard as you want, the wave goes under you and you miss it. Right now, I want you to get open-minded. Be open-minded today. Because this industry won't wait for you, but this industry definitely needs you. And we're going to show you how to do that. In fact, you know, I love the story. Again, I've told this before, but I want you to just answer this. If you had a week to prepare and you had the opportunity to spend a couple hours with your 20-year-old self, you had a week to prepare and you had a couple hours, you had the magic wand to go spend 2 hours with your 20-year-old self. And you could only share on one topic, maybe relationships, right? It's time to, don't settle. You deserve more. Like, love is so important and so pure. And these are the things I learned about love at 40, 50, 60, 70. You had 2 hours to spend about love, or you had 2 hours to spend about making money, or starting your own business, or taking care of your health, or finding self-love at an earlier age. I don't know what you would share with your 20-year-old self. What would you share? But you had a whole week to prepare. You created a course, videos, blueprint. You drew it out, built slides, whatever it was. Let me ask you this. What would it be worth to you today if you could go back and spend 2 hours with your 20-year-old self? That's what the self-education industry is, right? We get millions, priceless, millions. Listen, There are people today, just like your 20-year-old self, no matter what age they are, they're starting off where you left off. They're starting off trying to figure out something you've already been through. They're going through a mess at this very moment that you already been through, and you're on the other side of the mess, and you could give them the bridge, the ladder, the gift of knowledge to help them get out, and that's what the self-education industry is, and we're so excited. If we didn't shift into the self-education industry, I don't know where our lives would be. When you see Tony Robbins, so dynamic, what he does, oh my God, best in the world. But he started out as a kid going to a Jim Rohn event where he had to borrow the money literally from a bank to go to the event, had no clue, was living out of his car, and had the opportunity to be impacted by self-education. He learned from Jim Rohn. You know, when Tony started his first event, he thought 500 people were going to show up because it was free, and like 5 showed up. Right? And he didn't have anything to share. When he first started, he shared what he learned from Jim Rohn. Right? We all started someplace. None of us were born to be in this industry. None of us were, I'm going to be a knowledge broker. I'm going to be in the self-education. No, we all started out with imposter syndrome, a little scared, not sure if we could do it. But the one thing we were missing is realizing that our experience is priceless because we can help people go faster. The second thing, when Tony started 40-something years ago, the self-education industry wasn't that cool. When I started over 2 decades ago, it wasn't that cool. Right now, the world is realizing the fastest way to get there is to learn from everyday, ordinary people who are willing to share what they know. Yes, they want to buy your knowledge, and that's what we're talking about today. In fact, you know, when we talk about this, sometimes I know so many of you have been with me for a while and you've heard this. I want you to hear it again, because if you're not a part of this, then you're missing this wave. And if you're new, I want you to think about, you know, if it comes to your mind, well, I'm new, or I'm not an expert. I want you to think about this. This is Nancy Lee. Now, maybe you would never think Nancy would work with Tony and I and be in the self-education industry, because she was an immigrant from China who, when she got here, everybody said, oh, when you start off in America, just get a service job and work your way up. And she wouldn't accept that. She's brilliant. She's smart. She had a good job in China. So she found a way to get a high-level job of being a product manager and a project manager here in the States. And I'm so proud of her. But then when she did it, she realized, wait, if I could do that for me, could I do that for other people coming from China? You would think, is that a niche? And right now, this is what she does full-time. She's outpacing her job. I'm not saying you're going to do it and have the success she had. I like to disclaim that. But she's doing insanely well. And what does she do? She teaches Chinese immigrants how to get a better job than just the service job. And she's absolutely crushing it. She's in the self-education industry. She went through a little mess. She went through a learning experience. And now she has the outlet, the opportunity to use social media rather than it using you. Be a producer, not a consumer. We're going to talk about that today. And now she gets to impact and help people coming from China while impacting her own life and creating success. Take somebody like Lisa. Lisa had a dance studio and COVID came. And what happened to so many people? Shut down, didn't know what she was going to do. Luckily, she started working with Tony and I and got this process. She's like, okay, I'll just do it virtual. I'll do virtual workshops about dancing. And she did so well, started doing better than she did when her actually brick and mortar business was open. And now she not only teaches dance studio stuff, that sounded terrible, but I'm not the type that goes to a dance studio, but she also teaches other businesses how to transfer from in-person to virtual. She's absolutely crushing it. So I just want to give you a little example. And we have people that are coaches and they're gone on to another level. People that are in this space using this unfair advantage and realizing that this is the time and knowledge truly is the currency of the future and the present. Or maybe life's okay. You're not here because you're desperate or want to move from pain. But you know there's more. Maybe you're called to serve. Maybe you know that there's more impact, that you have more to give the world, that at the end of your life when you're 100 years old, you want to say, I squeezed the juice out of life, and you want to learn more, be more, do more, impact more, make more. That's great. Be here, be disturbed with inaction. If you're not moving away from the pain or not moving towards a bigger future when you're called to, then you should be disturbed. But I want to share why this industry is so important to me, and maybe you can relate to it a little bit. Listen, we all have our own journey. I talked about Tony's journey before, when he borrowed money, living out of his car to go see Jim Rohn. For me, I just remember being broke as a kid. My parents, who were amazing people, but they were married 9 times between them. And my mom and dad didn't have the best relationship after they split when I was 3. And my mom worked 3 jobs to make nothing. Like, From my earliest memories of wanting to be successful, and I remember mine was watching my mom come home at 9 o'clock at night when I was in 2nd grade with her hands hurting from cleaning houses and cutting hair, and she painted houses on the inside, on the side. She did everything she could to support me and my sister. She was selfless. I don't think I could get emotional because I think it took me till I was 50 years old to realize what an amazing woman she was and the sacrifices she made for me. But I remember being little, 2nd, 3rd grade, saying, I'm going to get rich. That's what I remember saying, so I can retire my mom. I'm rich back then, was probably thinking I was hoping to make $1,000 a week to take care of my mother. And I did everything possible. I cut firewood at 16. I fixed wrecked cars. And I went after life hard. And I feel blessed. I started getting momentum. I ended up, by the time I was 20 years old, I already had bought a couple no money down real estate houses. I was building houses. I had apartments. I had a collision shop by 24 years old. By 25, I had a tow truck company. I was on my way, and I was taking care of my mom. I retired my mom. By the time I was 27, I've sent my mom a check every single week since I was 27 years old. I buy my mom a new car every 3 years. I bought her house not that long ago, and that was my muse. That was my driver. But I have to tell you, from a lot of the dysfunction as a kid, I think I was doing it in kind of an ugly way, ugly on the inside. You guys ever have success in your life, but you know you're not doing it in a healthy way? And then at about 27 years old, I see Tony Robbins on an infomercial. And I felt like that man was speaking right into my heart. And I bought everything he had off of this infomercial. I had never really read a book. I have never been to a personal development course. I've never been to an event, but I just said, the heck with it. This guy's speaking to me. Now, when I bought that, I have to tell you, friends and family in my life were like, you spent what? Because I bought like every upsell possible. I bought all of it, and everybody's like, you spent several $100s on tapes? And I remember it was so long ago that I had a cassette player on my side with the orange Sony Walkman. Remember the little orange earbuds? If anybody, I'm dating myself, right? And I got that, and I devoured every second of it. Like, I listened to it. I was like, oh my God. It was all the stuff that I believed somewhere in my heart. You guys ever hear something from Tony, myself, or somebody else, and you go, wow, I knew that. And you feel like, wow, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. And it did 2 things for me. I have to tell you, it did 2 things. Number one, it released me from a lot of my childhood pain. It made me realize that life happened for me, that all those things I went through are my fuel, they're not my anchor. I changed my story. I had new beliefs. I mean, this guy empowered me, and truly my life changed. I went on to have more success than I could have ever imagined possible, and I contribute so much of that to Tony, and I'm so grateful for him. Now that he's my dearest friend and partner is wonderful, but back then it was just a guy that I paid for his knowledge. But here's the second thing that did for me, and I really want you to hear this. I paid for knowledge. I cut Tony a check. He sent me information, and it shifted my life. I didn't get a car. I didn't get a watch. I didn't get a ring. I already, in that moment, I learned the value of knowledge 25 years ago. It was so exciting that I said, I got to be in this industry. This is what I'm going to do. So not only did I feel better, now you think my family thought I was crazy before. Now I'm taking every dollar I have. Back then you couldn't go online. You couldn't be at mastermind.com. You didn't have a course. I had to go do an infomercial, which back then was hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the time you did an infomercial and got inventory and got a phone company, it was a completely different world 25 years ago. So now I'm cashing in everything I got and using credit card money to do this. You talk about my family thinking I'm the most insane human being alive. People thinking they're protecting me, but really telling me what a nut job I am. So I don't care. I'm on fire because of what Tony did. And at the time, I made money by selling cars. So I said, I'm going to build a course. Think about this. I'm teaching people how to flip cars. I called it Motor Millions. Now, it sounds cheesy. It sounds silly right now, but I was on fire. And you know when you just feel something that I hope you feel today and you're like, I'm going to do this. This is it. I'm all in. That's how I felt. But then maybe you guys, when that buzz wore off, when I borrowed money and I started filming and I started writing a course, and my sister, I love my sister, she's an amazing woman. She's my big sister. She lived in Virginia. When she found out I was doing this, she drove all the way from Virginia to have a sit down with me, like an intervention, like I was on drugs. Literally sat down and said, Dean, I love you, but enough is enough. Look at what you've done on your own, and now you're going to risk everything. You're going to lose it. So I get that, and then I go to my friends. Of course, my friends give me positive. No, my friends are like, "You're an idiot." They weren't elegant like my sister. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I don't know. So I remember being on the same road And I'm going to share this with you guys because maybe you can relate to it. I remember being on the same road where I spent most of my childhood, was with my grandmother. And I was walking down her road. It's a true story. I know exactly where I was. And I started thinking to myself, who the hell am I? I'm not Tony Robbins. I don't have the money he has. I'm not 6'7" and have that amazing voice and that power. I don't have wealthy friends. I haven't transformed the lives of people. Who the hell is going to buy a course on how to make money with cars? My sister says I'm a fool. My friends think I'm an idiot. I'm doing okay. I mean, by then I had an apartment house. I was building houses. I had a tow truck company, and I'm risking it all. And I remember being a millimeter away from saying I should be happy. And I remember just walking down that street thinking all the reasons this was stupid. I'm not an expert. I barely got out of high school. I have dyslexia. I'm borrowing money to film this infomercial. I'm an absolute idiot. But in that moment, I had an epiphany. I said, there was two things. I remember thinking to myself, if I do what other people tell me to do, if I listen to my inner self-doubt, I'll regret it forever. I know I will. I'm called for more. What is the worst thing happen? I have to start over, right? That's the worst thing, but if I go for it. But the worst thing if I don't is looking at my whole life knowing what could have been. But this is where my big epiphany came in. My epiphany was this. I was thinking through the lens that I had to be the guy that shared everything about cars. I never started a new car dealership. I didn't make $100 million in the car business. I didn't know how to create KPIs and SOPs and Excel spreadsheets. I didn't know about car financing at a high level. I was thinking I had to know everything. What I realized is I was really good at one thing. I knew how to flip a couple extra cars a month, buying and selling through the classified ads to make someone an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. And when I realized that's all I'm sharing, I'm not sharing all that other stuff. If someone wants to do new car dealerships, they shouldn't learn from me. If someone wants to learn how to flip a car a month and make extra money, I'm the best person on the planet because it's how I started. It's how I made money. And between realizing I didn't want to give up on me, that I was called to serve on another level, I had more potential, and then realized I didn't need to be the smartest guy in the world in everything. I just had to be good at showing people how to flip one car. And when that happened, my confidence went through the roof. And I launched my course, Motor Millions. That was my first course. Yes, it was before digital. I had to create them and put it in that course. It did okay, and it got momentum, and it started doing better. Like when I did this course, Think a Little Different, it was about real estate. I had only done about 25 real estate deals in my whole life. And guess what I told everybody? I've only done about 25 real estate deals, but I started with no money, and this is how I did it. I didn't say, I'm the expert who has $14 billion and 47 Lamborghinis. In fact, I didn't even have any testimonials because I hadn't taught anybody yet. So I just went to the houses that I bought and flipped, and I was like, hey, this is my first testimonial. Me, hi. See this house behind me? I did this, 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 and this, and I flipped it. See this house behind me? I did this, 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 and this, and I rent it. And that course went on to be one of the best-selling real estate courses in America. From a 30-something, 29 or 33 years, I was 30-something years old. I didn't make hundreds of millions of dollars, but I just got to be honest going after exactly who I wanted. If someone wanted to buy multi-unit apartment houses, I wasn't your guy. You wanted to learn how to flip your first house with no money down? That was me. And I feel so blessed that since then I've gone on to do so many incredible things, be partners with Tony and spend time privately with Richard Branson and be interviewed by, the top people on the planet and just do more than I ever thought possible, be a multiple New York Times best-selling author, have more success than I ever could imagine possible. And it's just a pretty cool journey to be here. And I owe it all to the self-education industry. So if you hear me talk about this industry with love and passion and trying to show you why you should be a part of it, is because it saved my life. I owe a debt of gratitude to it. Yes, I taught real estate, I taught cars, but now I get to teach people the main thing. I get to teach you how to unlock what you know, unlock your experience. This is my next 20-year run. Tony and I didn't need to do this. This is our passion project. Self-education saved our lives. And I know it can do the same for you, and it doesn't mean you're desperate. It just means that if you're called to serve, called to do more, I don't know anything where you get to impact people, allow them to go faster, and change your life at the same time. What's up, what's up? Hey, don't forget to look at the action steps we've posted below. They are the perfect way to take your success, abundance in this crazy world to a whole nother level.